Hello all YouTubers, I am the Weather Dude. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you all for tuning back into the severe weather coverage video for June 7th, 2020. Before I get on with today's video, however, I would ask that you please do subscribe because sadly, tons of my watch time has been coming from unsubscribed viewers. We are on our way to our next goal of 600 subscribers, and thank you guys so much, by the way, for 500 subscribers. Let's get to our next goal of 600 subscribers, alright? So please do subscribe, and also, this applies to every single one of you, please watch the whole video as well as liking and sharing the video. Thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. Now, so for today, we're going to be talking about some severe weather for the northern plains. And you can see we have two areas of severe weather, one in the south. By the way, if you haven't watched my Cristobal coverage making landfall, it is making landfall now. Please watch that in the top right corner of your screen appearing now after this video. Now, northern plains is where we're going to be focusing on today for our severe weather threat. And slight to enhanced risk, alright, from northern Utah, northwestern Colorado, all the way up through, we're talking about North Dakota, Dakota's here, northwestern Minnesota especially in that threat. And in that enhanced risk, 650,000 people. Alright, that is, I mean, even one person to get hit by severe weather is obviously too many. We gotta talk about Fargo, Grand Forks, Moorhead, Minnesota, Aberdeen, West Fargo. Slight risk to that's gonna be a little bit, because that's gonna include this as well, but 4 million people in the slight risk of severe weather for today, which is the single lowest threat, or one lower, and the lowest, or one of the lower threats anyway, is marginal, and that's about 7 million people under marginal risk today. But again, most of that is here, but some of that doesn't also include the southeast because of Cristobal spawning some potential water spouts. Now, we're going to be looking at a few I believe I have 3 mesoscale discussions pulled up. I kind of want to analyze them because I like looking at mesoscale discussions. These MDs are pretty helpful here, and because they're pretty much in real local time here. And Dakotas, eastern North Dakota, eastern South Dakota, western Minnesota, we're going to have some strong to severe storms that will develop rapidly this afternoon, and all severe hazards are possible, okay? Tornadoes, very large hail. We're talking about wind, rain, all right? Any threat there, any threat in the severe weather could possibly, what I'm trying to say, any kind of severe weather threat, any aspect of severe weather. And going back here, tornado risk will be a significant tornado threat for today for the northeastern corner of North Dakota and the northwestern corner of Minnesota. So in that region is just Grand Forks. That is the only large population, quote-unquote large population, in that severe weather. So 154,000 people will be in that significant risk, which is engulfed in that yellow region. But still, 5%, 2% chance of tornadoes. I mean, it's still got about 10 million people total. So again, one person is still too many. And you talk about winds, significant wind damage is going to be possible from the eastern Dakotas, central South Dakota, western Minnesota here. And again, this totals out to be, probably about 12, 13 million people when you include Cristobal as well. But if you just talk about the yellow and the red, because that's where the yellow and red is only located up in the northern plains. We're still talking about here over 2 million people in the northern plains that will be impacted by damaging wind. And when you look at the hail aspect, again, that is also significant right in that same region. And again, that's about another 1.7 million people, the same 1.7 million people in that area. But you can see with Cristobal, hail won't really be an issue. It's going to be more of those isolated water spouts. Now, our next MD, our next mesoscale discussion here involves north central and South Dakota, northern Nebraska here. Severe thunderstorm development, including supercells, is impossible in that blue region. 21 to 22 Z, so that's about 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time. A watch or severe thunderstorm watch or even possibly tornado watch will likely be needed. And there's just probably severe thunderstorm watch. Obviously, tornado warnings can still get issued at any given moment here. Now, mesoscale discussion 872 involves north central Wyoming. Sorry about that, guys. And southeastern Montana. There will be some isolated severe thunderstorm threats that will persist from central Wyoming again to northeastern Wyoming and far southeast Montana over the next few hours. Obviously, we're going to have that upper low. It's going to help kick up some wind energy, so definitely some strong winds going to come out of that possibly. And now let's get into some models. We're going to be focusing again on the northern plains. We're going to be using 2 models here, the high-resolution model and the NAM model, to make sure you guys are prepared for the severe weather that is coming. Now, Here is your thunderstorms developing. This is the high resolution model first here. All right, and a broken line, but still some clusters of storms, even some lines of storms. But again, that's what I'm worried about here. This upper level low at 986 millibars of pressure, that is very, very low pressure, which means some stronger winds. I think we could see some winds past 75 miles per hour at this because that upper level low is feeding in some wind energy. We also got a little bit some moisture probably flowing in from, most likely from Cristobal there and from the Gulf of Mexico, which is how severe weather forms anyway. Usually our moisture source is the Gulf of Mexico. All right, and Cristobal's in the Gulf of Mexico, in the northern part, actually making landfall. So there is your threat. All right, and you got your broken line of storms here, still going to be moving through, and still a dangerous threat. Could develop into more of a line, maybe more of an organized line, possibly by 1 a.m. Monday. Again, that low still strong at 990 millibars of pressure. So again, wind is going to be an issue. We got the wind from the storm, we got the wind from the upper level low. So there's going to be a lot of sources for some dangerous winds. Now, again, in terms of those dew points, they're not going to be terribly high, but I do think that they could get, I mean, all the way up into Canada, 70-degree dew points is nothing to laugh at. That is oppressive. And for Canada, that's usually not too common, especially in the early summer. Once you get towards mid-late summer, it's probably going to be more common. But still, widespread 60-degree plus dew points, which is still very moist in the teal color there. And in terms of total precipitation, the latest high-resolution model run, it says northern South Dakota, or whoever gets the strongest of the thunderstorms, even northern Minnesota, could end up with over 2 inches of rainfall in a very short amount of time. 2 to 3 inches of rainfall in a short amount of time can result in some dangerous severe weather and obviously some dangerous flooding as well. Now, in terms of the surface-based CAPE, well, we got it all right. We have a lot of CAPE values, a lot of energy in the atmosphere. Northeastern North Dakota, north central South Dakota, some areas where we have over, 4,500 joules per kilogram, which is almost that's like halfway to more than half to the top of the scale. All right, more than halfway up there. And eventually, once the storms come through, the CAPE will start to die off. But still, I mean, that's a lot of heat energy in that atmosphere. And again, here's your wind shear. Now, like I said before, it depends when the wind shear comes in. Thanks to the upper level low, we're going to have some wind shear. And again, wind shear helps severe development. It does not help hurricane development. Matter of fact, it hurts it, actually. Now, thanks to the upper level low, we're going to have some high wind shear because sometimes what happens is the thunderstorms will get a chance to develop their hail of tornadoes because the storms will come through, and then all of a sudden the wind shear wants to come through. But this time the wind shear will be here right when the severe thunderstorms get here. So some very high wind shear, and that is going to result in some pretty storms could spin up if we have the turning of the winds with height, which stay tuned for that. I'll explain that to you later on. Even though the bulk of the widespread wind shear will come after the storms are over, we're still going to have the same amount of wind shear already present as the storms are coming through, which means an enhanced wind and enhanced hail and tornado threat. Now, supercell composites are very high. We're literally talking about 60. I believe I just saw 60. I saw 60 somewhere. All right, 62 actually now, right there in northwestern Nebraska. I want you guys to keep in mind that the graph goes up to 50. So a very, very destructive supercell threat is possible. And this could be an EF2, EF3 tornado. We're going to look at the tornado parameter as well. South Dakota, Nebraska border, very damaging supercells are possible because 62, the graph only goes up to 50. It counts pretty much 2 at a time. The graph only goes up to 50. So that is something we're going to keep our eyes on. Eventually, the supercell threat will die as we head into overnight, but still something to keep our eyes on, even as we head through overnight. And again, we know overnight tornadoes are over 2.5 times as deadly. Now, in terms of significant tornado parameter, that's not quite to the top of the graph. It's almost there, though. All right, 9.3. I mean, this graph, I assume, goes up to 10. All right, so still, that is a very, very high threat. Again, very destructive tornado is possible according to the high-resolution model. Right there for South Central South Dakota and Southwestern South Dakota. Well, I wouldn't say South. I would say South Central South Dakota and North Central Nebraska, extreme northern Nebraska. According to the high-resolution model, there could be a destructive supercell with some destructive tornadoes possible. Now, in terms of we have to look at the updraft helicity because the updraft, the storms get to updrafts and they can collapse in big downdrafts and produce some very heavy wind and rain and even some hail. So we want those stronger updraft helicities, and we're going to have that. All right, we're going to have some more updraft helicities as you saw earlier there in North Dakota, but look at right there in South Dakota, we got some stronger updraft helicities, which means if we have bigger updrafts, chances are we can have some big downdrafts, and that can really push out and increase that wind threat and even some hail as well. Push out those crystal hail balls. Now, in terms of the wind crossovers, are we going to have those? Yes. I mean, we are going to have them in some spots. It all depends on where you look at, however. All right, so it won't be the winds won't be turning that much with height, but we do have like the winds coming out of this direction at the surface, and then more this direction at 5,000 feet. So there is some spin, but it's not too much of a spin to say by any means at all. Not too much of a spin in turning of the winds with height, and obviously we need that for the shear. Another kind of wind shear we can have is speed shear, again, where the winds change speed with height. So that could be another kind of shear that we could possibly have as well. Those turning of the winds with height, that is something we got to keep our eyes on. So to help kind of break up, because I didn't want to forget that I switched over to the NAM model, so I put this here to remind me again. Here's a look again at the SPC outlook for today for the Northern Plains, in case you guys missed it. I just want to put something in between, so now I know that I'm switching to the NAM model now. So here is the NAM 3KM model, because honestly, I would just go right through and forget. So here's the NAM 3KM model, guys, and as you can see, as we play out the time here, you can see some destructive bands of thunderstorms could come through, and here's your first one again. Very strong upper level low, or surface low, I should say. Even at the upper levels as well. That develops, we got damaging cluster storms, line of storms moving through right there at 11 p.m. 3Z does not mean 3 a.m. You have to subtract 4, so it really means 11 p.m. 4Z would be midnight. All right, that moves through around midnight through eastern South Dakota, eastern North Dakota, and Minnesota. Then our next cluster looks around the upper level low, moves through by about 2 a.m. in the morning. But this one will be less severe, but still dangerous clusters of storms moving through Minnesota, whatever the leftovers is by the morning time frame. And then again, there's your upper level low retreating back to the west, and maybe another kick of severe weather could even come in the next day. So we have to keep our eyes on that threat. Now again, the dew points, the NAM model puts a lot more higher dew points, 70 to 73, which is very, very muggy and just oppressive. It just does not feel nice, especially when you combine it with the heat. It does not feel nice at all. Precipitation, NAM model puts more of the precipitation in northwestern Minnesota. We could see over 3, 4, 5 inches of rainfall in a very short amount of time, which is very bad for flooding. I know there's always these 2 river gauges. When I look at water.weather.gov, I always see there's these 2 river gauges that are always in major flood stage, so that won't help matters there. But some surface-based cape there, very high energies. We're talking about 5,000, maybe over 5,300 joules per kilogram, which is very high on the scale. And that heat energy can really spawn those thunderstorms, and that is something we do not want. Now, looking at the shear, I think the NAM model goes a little bit less on the shear. However, here's northern Minnesota can have some strong shear, so that's why they kind of put them in the NAM model puts northern Minnesota and kind of that bullseye for some potentially destructive hail tornadoes. Now, Supercell composites, there you go. All right, we got some high supercell threats. Northern Iowa, south central Minnesota, south central South Dakota, northern Nebraska. We can see some high chances for some destructive supercells. And a significant tornado parameter. Well, here you are. This was 11 o'clock this morning, actually. And there's your threat right there. But if we look farther out in time, again, boom. There it is. Over 5 out of a potential 10 in terms of significant tornado parameters. So, northern Minnesota, south central, and southern South Dakota. Now, in terms of the updraft helicities, again, this didn't provide 1 hour, the 1 hour max. Obviously, the high resolution model did, so that's why I did 3 hour runs for both, because it would make it easier to compare. But here's your updraft helicities. We do have some strong, very strong actually for southeastern Montana, but even north South Dakota, your stronger updrafts can lead to some stronger downdrafts, and yeah, it's you guys know what comes next: the hail, and potentially some very heavy wind coming out of it as well. Now, finally, the wind crossovers. Are we going to have those? I think the NAM model definitely does say that to a better degree. I think they indicate more of a wind crossover, so some more turning of the winds with height and even change of wind speed with height. So please stay safe with the severe weather out there, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Take cover. If there's, I don't care if it's a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning, just take cover. And if you're under a severe thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch, be prepared to seek shelter. Thank you guys for watching. I'm the Weather Dude, signing off. Till next time. Catch you guys next video.